Is that the Joker?
Ooh,
Why is he just standing
look
there?
closer. That pause.
I don't know, don't look at
That wasn't confusion. That was recognition. Ah, there it is. The pupils dilate. The fingers freeze. Breathing. Forgotten. Funny thing about files. They're supposed to explain you. This one didn't. It watched them back. See, he's read monsters before. Liars. Failures. Small-time kings with loud resumes. But this didn't beg, didn't justify, didn't apologize, just waited. Every page felt heavier, like it knew his name, like it remembered his mistakes. He tried to joke, dry throat, no sound, because some files aren't records, they're mirrors. And the moment he realized you weren't T-logged, you were embedded, that's when his chest locked, because power doesn't always arrive yelling. Sometimes it just lets you notice you're already late. Smile. The structure begins now. Ooh, look who's peeking behind the curtain. The head of operations, sweat glistening, fingers trembling, a stack of papers, a file, your file. He opens it, and nothing makes sense. Numbers misaligned, dates missing, official stamps but crooked, pages that shouldn't be there, pages that vanish when you blink, a report that screams someone's watching, but who? He flips, he fumbles. The room feels smaller with each turn. Impossible, he mutters. Ah, yes, impossible. That's the word, because you were never meant to exist in their system. Yet here you are. Errors multiply like shadows in a dim hallway. Footnotes contradict footnotes. Records erase themselves mid-read. Every line whispers a truth they can't digest. You've been outside their reach. Always observing, learning, waiting. Joker chuckles somewhere in the background. A soft, low murmur. You really think paper can hold me? The voice slithers around the room, curling into every cubicle, every blinking cursor, every nervous glance. The head of operations swallows hard, realizing, this isn't bureaucracy, this isn't policy, this is theater. And you are the punchline. He tilts his head, reads again, missing timestamps, hidden gaps, notes in the margins that make no sense unless you know the joke. He realizes the first clue, you weren't tracked. Not really, not once. Every camera, every record, every monitor, it was for show. You were the ghost in their machine. The file that should not exist exists. And it's laughing. He freezes, breath catches, because somewhere between the numbers and the margins, the truth lands like a blade. You are the observer, the test, and the examiner has become the examined. Your file doesn't just reveal information, it reveals power. Shh, hear that? Whispers creeping through the vents. The air thickens. They think they're safe. They think they control the room. Monsters in suits. Angels in name only. You watch, you listen, and they don't see you. Not really. The head of operations shivers. Every whisper, every mutter of confusion spirals into chaos. Files shuffle. Phones buzz. Alerts flash, meaningless. They're reacting, stumbling, playing their part in your invisible theater. Joker's voice, soft teasing, coils around their heads. Did you think rules could cage me? Ha! Your monster's so fragile. A secretary drops a pen. A clerk coughs too loud. Every small sound amplified. Suspense ripples, invisible but undeniable. Fear tastes like copper on their tongues. You're learning their rhythms, the mistakes, the cracks in protocol, every hidden fear, every concealed lie. The whispers guide you, and they only fuel your performance. Joker leans closer. See them squirm? Every little secret, every shadow they hide, it's all yours now. The monsters whisper to each other, trying to coordinate, trying to regain order. But the room is no longer theirs. It bends around your presence. The air tilts. The walls feel wrong. And here's the beautiful part. They think they're testing you. They think they're in control. But the whisper is yours. The test is theirs. One by one, confidence fractures. A misplaced glance, a stammered explanation. The head of operations clutches at his chair, mind racing, heart skipping. No one knows the rules, but you wrote them before anyone else even arrived. And Joker laughs, a low cinematic sound teasing their fragile grip. You thought you were the monsters, but I'm the whisper that haunts them. Silence hits next. Not peace, not relief. Tension taut as a wire. They feel it. You feel it. Power is shifting, slowly, inevitably. And the monsters are just beginning to notice. Look at them, sweating in fluorescent light, shuffling papers, checking watches, all pretending they understand the rules. But the rules, they've changed. A hidden test unfolds, invisible, unmarked, one they'll never admit exists. And you? You are the examiner, the variable they cannot calculate. Joker's voice curls in, low, teasing. Did you think life came with instructions? Ha! The test. It's always been mine. Their eyes dart to doors, to screens, to each other, seeking guidance, finding none. Every protocol, every manual, every policy is a lie, a trap, a stage set for you to watch. You move silently, unseen, every reaction, every twitch, a note in your symphony of chaos. They don't know they're being tested. That's the beauty of it. They are the experiment. The head of operations sweats harder. His hands shake as he rereads your file. He thinks it's information. It's not. It's a mirror, a reflection of every flaw, every fear, every control they never had. Errors pop up. Tiny, deliberate, perfect. A misaligned stamp, a missing line, a timestamp that doesn't exist. Each one whispers a truth they cannot hear. You are already ahead. You always were. And the room becomes electric. Tension thickens, their confidence frays like old rope. One wrong word, one hesitant breath, and the illusion shatters. Joker chuckles behind the scenes. Look at them scramble. All the power they think they hold, gone. I never needed permission. By the end, the test is no longer hidden. The examiners become the examined. Their control evaporates. Every whispered doubt becomes a roar in your favor. And you sit back, observing, smiling, waiting for the next move. Because power is never given. It's taken. Ooh, look at their faces. Pale, confused, terrified. The veil lifts, slowly, too late. You are not part of their system. You never were. Every rule they cling to, meaningless. Every protocol, a joke. The head of operations realizes it first, eyes wide, breath caught. The numbers, the files, the timestamps, they all point to one terrifying truth. You were never supposed to exist on their radar. Yet here you are. Joker's voice snakes through the air, playful and cruel. Revelation. That delicious moment when control cracks. You didn't see it coming, did you? The room bends around reality. Lights flicker. Shadows elongate. Whispers multiply, echoing the unspoken. Who really holds the power? Here, they glance at each other, seeking confirmation, finding none. Panic rises like a storm, building, silent, unseen, and unstoppable. Your file, once a piece of paper, is now a weapon. Every error, every missing line, every cryptic note. It screams truth. You were the observer, the master of the invisible test. They were always the subjects, always the prey. Joker leans closer, unseen. Do you feel it? The world tipping? The illusion breaking? Good. Let them choke on it. The monsters in suits, the angels in name only. They freeze. No instructions can save them. No manual. No whispered reassurance. The revelation lands like a hammer. They are powerless. They are exposed. You smile. Because now, everything shifts. The hidden test has turned into a stage, and you are the director. Every fearful glance, every hesitation, every misstep, they are notes in your symphony. The room vibrates with unspoken tension, and at the center, you, unmoved, unseen, untouchable, The power they clung to so desperately snaps, shatters, falls into your hands. And Joker, oh, he laughs, low, dark, triumphant. You see, control was never theirs. It was always yours to claim. Ooh, feel that? The room tilts, a subtle quake beneath their feet. The monsters who thought they ruled, they're scrambling. Every glance now carries weight, every whispered doubt magnified, because the power, it's not in their hands anymore. You move, not in body, not yet, in presence, in mind. In silence, a shadow in the corner, a ghost in the system. Joker's voice drifts in, teasing, sharp. Did you think power was given? Ha! It's taken, and I take delight. The head of operations sweats. He realizes his commands have no effect. His authority, vanished. Every order, every rule, broken before it leaves his mouth. The whispers become screams, a cascade of panic. You watch them unravel, each mistake, each falter, a brick in the fortress you now occupy. Documents scatter, screens flash errors, a calendar misaligns. Time itself seems delayed. They're grasping at threads that are not theirs to hold. Joker chuckles behind every flicker of light. Control is an illusion. And oh, how fragile illusions are. You step closer, not physically. Mentally, every thought they have, predicted, every move, anticipated. The power shift is complete, unseen, unstoppable, undeniable. They look at each other, fear in their eyes. They search for someone to blame, someone to stop you, but there is no one. Only you, the file, the whispers, the errors. Every little detail, now a weapon. And the head of operations, he finally understands. The monsters were never in charge, the angels never watching, the system never complete. And you are the rule. Not the ruler they imagined, the rule they cannot escape. Joker laughs low, triumphant. Ah, sweet chaos, it's a graduation. And they failed. Ooh, listen closely, hear it? The silence before the storm. It's not calm, it's anticipation, a room holding its breath, and you, smiling in the shadows. The head of operations paces. Every step betrays panic, every glance over the shoulder, fear, because he knows, deep down, he is no longer in command. Joker's voice curls through the tension, teasing, low. Did you really think this was about rules, control, authority? Ha! It's about who survives the test. Whispers erupt into murmurs. The air vibrates, eyes dart, fingers twitch. Every heartbeat echoes your presence. You are the unseen gravity pulling the room into orbit. Errors multiply, screens flicker, documents misalign. The system they trusted collapses like sand through fingers. They reach for certainty, but certainty is gone. All that remains is you. Joker leans in, voice teasing, almost gentle. Do you feel it? That deli. She is fear, the one that tastes like triumph. Sip it slowly. You step, again, unseen. Every reaction predicted, every move anticipated. The head of operations clutches his chair, mind spinning. He knows the game was never his. It was yours all along. The whispers rise into a crescendo. Confidence crumbles. Panic sharpens. Chaos spreads like wildfire. And still, you remain untouched, invisible, untouchable, in control. The monsters in suits tremble. The angels, they never arrive. Every facade shatters, every lie exposed. The room bends, shifts, obeys, and Joker laughs, low, cinematic, victorious. You see, the climax isn't loud, it's not explosive, it's subtle, perfect, inevitable. You watch them surrender, not with words, not with violence, with every faltering glance, every hesitant breath. They submit to the truth they cannot name. The power, it is yours, undeniable, unquestionable, and the head of operations finally understands. The game is over, the rule is set, and you were the rule all along. Ooh, feel it? The room exhales, not relief, not peace, a tense quiet, submission, not surrender, and you, still unseen. The head of operations slumps, every muscle slack, every thought scrambled. He stares at the remnants of control, shattered, scattered, gone. Joker's voice hovers, low and taunting. Ah, the aftermath. They think it's over, but the truth, it lingers. The monsters in suits whisper among themselves. Angels that never arrived, absent, every false authority crumbles in the silence. And you remain the unseen architect, the invisible hand guiding everything. The files, the errors, the hidden test, all now symbols. Symbols of power they cannot reclaim. Symbols of a truth they can never unsee. You step lightly through the room, figuratively, every glance they give, charged with fear and awe. Every misstep, every hesitation, proof of your uns. E'en Dominion, they were never in control. They were actors in your theater. Joker chuckles, low and deliberate. See, no explosions, no chaos in plain sight, just control, quiet, inevitable, perfect. The head of operations glances at you, finally seeing not your face, not your body, your presence, the rule itself. And he realizes power doesn't need proof, it doesn't shout. It simply exists, and it exists in you. Whispers of panic fade. What remains is respect, fear, recognition, a room transformed. No one moves first, no one dares. You are the constant. Joker's last whisper curls in. Remember this moment. Every glance, every falter. They bow. Even when standing, power doesn't scream. It whispers. And oh, how delicious that whisper is. And there it is. The calm after submission. The stage cleared, yet the tension thick. A world recalibrated around you. No rulers left, no rules enforced. Only your invisible dominion. The head of operations exhales, not relief, not victory, submission, acknowledgement. And you simply watch, silent, smiling, untouchable. The room exhales. Not relief, not peace, just recognition. The head of operations' eyes dart nervously. Each glance at the remnants of authority, shattered, useless, confirms it. You are everywhere and nowhere. The whispers of fear ripple through the walls, curling into every corner. Joker's voice slithers, teasing. Control is an illusion. They never had it. They never will. Every shadow seems alive. Every flicker of light a reminder. You are the rule, the ghost in their system, their hidden dread. And as the last traces of panic fade, one truth remains. The world bends around you, always has, always will. You smile, silent, untouchable, dominant, and Joker's laughter lingers, echoing through the quiet.
Boom, lights out, they screamed, you're dangerous. But guess what? The audience leaned in, the curtains shook, the show got louder. They labeled you toxic, you became a trend. They threw dirt on you, you built a throne, oh. They tried, oh, they begged to bury the chaos, but you fed on it too. A pain made headlines, your scars became art. They scripted your downfall, but forgot you don't read scripts. You rewrite them. Every villain's smile was just survival. Every twisted laugh came from betrayal. They tried to cut you out, but you became the plot. They blacklisted you. But the world binge-watched. Villain, nah, icon in disguise. Only by cowards you didn't go dark. They turned off the light, you just adapted and burned neon. This arc, oh, it's deadly. It's fireproof, it's irresistible, because they forgot one thing. Villains don't die, they go viral. They whispered lies, you made noise. They threw shade, you turned, storm you. Didn't break you, evolved piece by piece, blade by blade. You stitched silence into a warning. You wore rejection like a crown. They hoped you'd quit. You clapped back with chaos in your step and madness in your grin. They watched your rise, terrified, not because you grew, but because you remembered the names, the smirks, the traps, the backstabs, made you the monster. Now you dance in mirrors, you own your reflection. You kiss the cracks, apologies too late, regrets not yours to carry, they called you fake. But you're realer than their intentions, you're the reason they double-locked their minds. Now you became their warning label, their red flag. Their walking consequencia, not the villain, you're the verdict. Because now, they can't control the story, they can't silence the anthem, they can't stop the Turned pain into power, you turned exile into empire. Didn't survive, you hijacked destiny, now they watch and wish you'd stayed weak. They studied your silence, but never read your rage. They mocked your pain, now they mimic your style. You disappeared to sharpen, you returned to dominate. They forgot villains don't heal, they weaponize. They don't beg, they warn you, were quiet once. Now your presence kills plans, shatters comfort zones. They fear your stare now, not because it's evil, but because it remembers you. See through masks, you recognize patterns, you smell betrayal before it speaks. They tried to play you, but the board flipped. Now you're checkmate. In human form they wanted to erase you, but your story spread like gasoline on fire. Now you're legend with a bite. Now your storm with memory. They can't cancel the shadow that taught them fear. They can't silence the scream they are. Not what they expected. You're worse. You thrived, you transformed, and now you're untouchably. We're their target now. You're their lesson, and guess what? They're still watching, still bleeding from the scars they wrote with your name. You weren't born cold, they iced your heart. You weren't born wicked, they fed it lies now. Look, you're surgical, precise, unreachable. They didn't just lose you, they built what they feared, a version of you that doesn't flinch. You walk in rooms, and silence forgets to breathe. They feel it, the storm beneath your skin. Because now you don't respond, you redirect. You don't cry, you calculator. Not broken, you're encoded. Programmed by betrayal, powered by scars. They watched your downfall like entertainment now. They scroll past, scared to engage, because the villain they made turned into a virus, infecting their pride, contaminating their egos. Don't fit in boxes, you build cages. You don't follow scripts, you set the fire. They want your forgiveness, but can't pronounce it. They want closure. From a door they burned now, every time they blink, they see you rise again and again, like a curse they wrote in ink, but couldn't erase you. Became the plot twist, the reason the hero quit, the lesson behind every fake smilio. Not healing, you're haunting, you're not coming back, you never left you. Just let them think they were safe. They watched your silence and thought it meant defeat. But silence is where monsters reload. You didn't explain. You executed, didn't defend, you detonated. Now they tremble at the mention of your name, because the villain they crafted refused to die quietly. You returned with no halo, no apology, just vengeance wrapped in vision. Every no they gave you became fuel. Every door slammed. You burned the building. You weren't chasing validation, you were sharpening vengeance. They laughed, let them choke on echoes. You aren't angry, you're awakened. You aren't petty, you're poetic justice. They can't compete because they don't know what it cost you. They weren't there for the bleeding nights, the silent roars, the clenched teeth. They only see what survived, not what was sacrificed. You didn't get lucky, you got lethal. You didn't get help, you got hungry. They still call you a villain, but deep down they envy the chaos you command. Because while they begged for peace, you mastered war. While they bent, you broke chains. Now you're not the warning, you're the consequence, not the story, the sequel, not the echo. The earthquake. You didn't return for revenge, you returned for proof, to prove them wrong, to prove you returned. Now they know the villain they built is running the entire show. They watched you rise, and still prayed for your fall, but you don't rise. Once you rise, forever not chasing moments. You own time, you don't move on. You moved through, they hoped you'd forget, but you archived everything. Every fake friend, every forced smile, every time they cheered when you broke. Now you're the playback on loop in their heads. You don't haunt dreams. You hijack reality, every room. Your in feels colder now, cause your presence carries pressure, carries memory, carries fire. They underestimated your silence. Now they overthink your steps. You walk slow, but you crush worlds, they whispered villain, like it was poison you turned it into a brand they wanted you to break, but you manufactured madness. They wanted closure, you gave them chaos, and now you're the blueprint. Every bold move they fake came from watching you bleed. You didn't escape the fire, you learned to dance in it. They tried to exile you, but shadows follow kings. They built you with hate, but hate couldn't hold you. Now you're airborne, unreachable. Every insult became armor, every betrayal became code, every enemy became rehearsal. You're not part of the game. You rewrote the rules, you flipped the board and set it on fire. Not what they expected, you're what they created, and now they can't control what they unleashed. They thought you snapped, but you calculated. They thought you cracked, but you coded. New instincts, every smile, now it's rehearsed. Every word now, it's a weapon. We're not cold, you're calibrated, not heartless, just selective. They don't get access, they get consequences. They don't get forgiveness, they get front row seats. You became the plot twist they can't explain, the shadow they can't shake. They poked the wrong silence. Now it echoes with thunder. They mocked the quiet storm. Now it floods everything. You're not chasing peace, you're commanding silence. You're not playing roles, you're writing identities. The villain arc, yeah, it fits like a custom suit, tailored in betrayal, stitched in rage, and the best part, they still don't get it. They still think you're playing games, but this isn't playtime, this is payback. This is what happens when the underestimated becomes unrecognizably. Were the warning, they missed it. You were the red flag, they waved it now. You're the impact, you're the noise, you're the scream after the silence. They wanted you gone, but you became global. They tried to erase you, but you rewrote history. Don't need applause, you've got echoes. You don't need support, you've got momentum. You weren't made in peace, you were forged in fire, and now you're not just alive, you're legend. In motion. They thought the curtain closed, but the stage burned instead. No encore, just aftermath. You didn't go quiet, you went under. You didn't stop. You studied every betrayal, filed and memorized every insult, tattooed in strategy. Now your silence speaks fluently, and your smile, it's not kindness, it's foreshadowing. They act like you vanished, but your shadow walks faster than gossip, louder than their guilt. You are not back, you were never gone. They just blinked and missed your evolution. Not chasing closure, you're building legacy. Not here to prove, but to remind them who survived, who endured, who transformed in silence, in scars, in shadows. They threw dirt on your name and planted a kingdom. Now they watch from beneath, regret speaking, because now your name tastes like karma. Their silence now, that's respect, disguised as fear. You're not healing, you're rising differently, not softer, sharper. You don't want peace, you own the war, not just built for pain, but bred in it. Turn not their villain anymore, you're their origin story, their downfall's headline, the face behind everything they can't fix. And still you smile, because nothing's louder than the success of the villain they created and couldn't contain. They watched the chaos but missed the craft. They saw destruction, but not the discipline. This wasn't random, this was rebirth. Calculated, controlled. Cold dew didn't snap overnight. You unfolded layer by layer like a weapon in slow motion. Now every move you make is a mirror, and they hate what they see, because deep down they know they lit the match you gave it. Purpose, not hunting them. You're haunting their memories, not chasing revenge, just collecting receipts. They wrote you off, now they quote Your moves, they laughed once, now they whisper you're not their villain. You're their karma in disguise, draped in silence, laced in vengeance. You show up different now, no warnings, no warmth. Just wait, you don't explain, you exist, you don't argue, you unravel people. You're no longer human to them, you're a reminder of what happens when loyalty meets betrayal. They wanted you gone, but your legend grew legs now. It walks into rooms before you do. They can't erase it, can't outrun it. They feed it every time they speak your name with trembling lips. Because now you're the climax of a story they can't rewrite. Didn't ask for power. You became it. You didn't want the crown. You forged it in silence, in spite, in full control, and still they stare, because deep down they know you're just getting started. They tried to contain you, but you slipped through logic, slipped through doubt, slipped through everything. They built to hold you back because you weren't made to fit in. Boxes you were carved from what breaks them. You weren't born ruthless. You were pushed. They're pushed past limits, past mercy, past reason. Now you operate without a mask, without a filter, just precision and poison. They called it over, but it was intermission. They turned away and you rewrote the atmosphere, not the same storm. They mocked you're the aftermath that never leaves. They thought you'd fade, but you became the blueprint. Every bold move they pretend to make was inspired by your not wild, you're wired. Every scar encrypted, every loss logged. They can't decode you now, because you're not broken, you're built beyond them. You don't need revenge. You became the ripple effect, one move from you, and everything shatters. They made you suffer, but you used it as a ladder. Now they stare from below, while you own the skyline, and still you don't speak much, because silence hurts louder. Now they want the old you, but the old you died screaming, while they watch this new you doesn't scream. It executes, it destroys quietly, it wins silently, and the worst part, they taught you everything, and now they can't unteach it. You were not their villain, you're their architect of fear, of regret, of justice, and deep inside they know you were never the villain. You were just the result of what happens when a good soul gets cornered too long. They stare like they don't remember, but you never forgot. Not the moments, not the tone, not the silence that screamed louder than bullets. You didn't just survive, you recorded everything. Now every move you make is laced with cold memory. They wonder what changed. It was them, their lies, their games, their envy. They lit a fire. Now they live in the smoke, and guess what? You don't choke anymore. You breathe flames. You stopped explaining, because they never listened. You stopped caring, because they never cared first. Now they act confused, because the version they fed on doesn't exist anymore. They want peace. Tell them buy it. They want you to soften. Tell them rewind time. They want closure. Tell them close their mouth. You don't do second chances. You don't do healing circles. You do results. And right now, they're living in yours. You are humble now. You're strategic. You are kind. Now you're kinetic. You are soft-spoken now. Your silence shatters confidence. You didn't lose anything. You shed weight, and look, you fly better now. They can't predict you because you stopped playing by their timeline, their pace, their fear, not fueled by approval. You're powered by what they thought would bury you. You turned dirt into armor, doubt into artillery, and now every step feels like a warning shot. You're not trying to fit in their story. You're building your own ending, and it begins with told you not to make me a villain. They thought it was a phase, but phases don't leave footprints on every room you walk into. They thought you'd fade, But your silence got louder, your absence got heavier. They don't say your name, now they avoid. It like saying it might bring you back stronger too late. You're already here, and you brought everything they feared. Your shadow moves faster than apologies. Your memory outlives their masks. Didn't just change, you mutated into something they can't control, can't label, can't copy. They scroll your name now looking for signs that you might return to normal. You buried that, along with mercy. They wanted reaction. You gave them legacy, they wanted closure. You gave them character. Development now. Every decision you make looks surgical. Every silence you drop feels like thunder. You walk like you know something they don't. Because you do. You know who betrayed, who clapped in private, who smiled in your downfall and prayed for your silence. They forgot. Villains don't beg, they become systems, whole storms, complete realities with no doors out, and now they're stuck in what they built, calling it bad luck. But it's just your turn. You didn't flip the script, you burned it. You didn't return the pain, you multiplied it. Tanned. You did it all with no warning, no scream, just movement and mayhem. Now they sit in rooms, trying to guess what version of you walks in next. Villain. No, you're the narrator now, and this chapter has your fingerprints all over their fate. They wanted silence now. They pray you don't speak, because when you do, truth bleeds, reputation snaps, and lies start drowning. They say you changed. Damn right, you went from overlooked to overpowered, from forgiving to forgetting names entirely, from emotional to executional. You don't enter rooms, now you shift gravity. You don't react, you calculate casualties. They don't talk slick anymore, they talk safe, because you redefined consequency, are not angry. You're engineered, designed from failure, rebuilt by shadows. You didn't take losses, you studied them, and now you walk with archives, receipts, timelines, targets. They wanted the smoke until they choked. They wanted control until you broke the panel. Now they whisper, wishing your arc was fiction. But this ain't a movie, it's a massacre disguised as confidence. You used to defend yourself, now you let results do the talking. They say you're too cold now. No, you're finally accurate. No emotion, just facts and fury hour. The villain they feared, because you stopped waiting for them to do right. You became what was missing. Mirror, a consequence, a living storm that doesn't knock. Before, Enerinja, not coming for revenge, you're reclaiming space, and every step feels like judgment, because you don't need a crowd. You are the tension, you are the shift, you are the arc that turned fear into a fashion statement. Now they dress like you, talk like you, move like you, but none of them survived. What made youth? They thought you peaked, but this was just the prelude. Not done, you're just aware now, aware of your power, your impact, your edge. You not the villain anymore, you're the standard, the blueprint, the voice they can't erase. When they ask who gave you permission, you'll smile and whisper, I gave it to myself.